Mahendra Singh Dhoni was seen as India's most successful test captain. His sudden decision to quit test cricket has surprised his fans, it surprised the cricketing world. The announcement was made shortly after the Melbourne test ended in a draw. The mantle, at least for now, has been passed on to Virat Kohli. The big question is, what prompted Dhoni to take this big decision and what impact will it have?
A look at Dhoni's record as captain in Test cricket and one would understand why. Team India played 60 matches under Dhoni's captaincy, of which they won 27, lost 18 and managed to draw 15. It was his overseas record though which became a menace for him. Of the 30 away games he captained, he won just 6 and lost a whopping 15. 9 matches were drawn. In away tests, Dhoni had a poor 20%.
Mahendra Singh Dhoni's decision to quit has left all cricket lovers stumped. They all concede he is the best test captain. But should he have quit? Should he have quit as captain and continued to play as a batsman, wicketkeeper? These are some of the questions we'll put to our guests. But let's look at reactions that are coming in. Valiant while you led, valiant in your decision to quit. That is how Suresh Raina tweeted after Dhoni announced the decision to quit. In fact, the BCCI announced Dhoni's decision to quit. Now, what next for Captain Marvel? His focus will remain the World Cup 2015, where he leads Team India. That's the shorter format of the game that he actually loves more than Test cricket. So, is that the road ahead for Dhoni? Captain Courageous, Captain Marvel, Captain Cool, a natural leader of men. That is how he was described. In fact, after every victory, whether it was the World Cup or the T20 World Cup, when the champions came back home, everyone said the country is high on MSD. And that brings us to a big question of the day. Should Dhoni have continued to play as a test player, as a wicket-keeper batsman, even if he had to step down as captain? And I have a panel of cricket lovers with me, some people who know the game inside out. They've played it. With me is Chetan Chauhan, former cricketer. Welcome on the show. Kunal Pradhan, Deputy Editor, India Today. Nikhil Chopra, former cricketer, also a cricketing expert. Also, Boria Majumdar, a cricket expert. He joins us, consulting editor, cricket. He joins us from Kolkata. Boria, should Dhoni have quit mid-series? Is that a fair question? Or is this unfair because it's for him to decide when he had to go?
You know, obviously it's upon him to decide when he has to go. But the points that we are saying here, first thing first, he's not quit from cricket. He has quit from Test cricket. He has now decided to continue and focus on the formats he loves the most, ODIs and T20s. Let's face it, in test match cricket overseas, India was going nowhere under Mahendra Singh Dhoni. All the epithets and adjectives you were using, Captain Cool, Courageous, Marvellous, etc. can be applied in ODIs and T20s, not in test match cricket. You know, 15 overseas losses in the last 4 years, most of them abject surrenders. There was a problem in the Indian team under Mahendra Singh Dhoni. I think it's a wise decision. Okay. He realizes the team was going nowhere. Energy was not there, it was deflated, and being the man that he is, failing in Australia, he obviously had a desire to win a cricket series in Australia. That did not happen. One test match to go. He thinks it's time to pass on the mantle.
Okay, he's passed on the mantle. Will the impression, Chetan Chauhan, will the impression
One second.
Okay. Will the impression, Chetan Chauhan, I'll come back to you, Boria, in a second. I'm coming back to you.
We will now see him play the format he loves the most.
Sure. Chetan Chauhan, will the impression be that Dhoni abandoned ship? You know, he quit mid-battle.
Well, see, his detractors may say this, but I think the time had come for him to give up, and time had come to retire, because he looked a very tired man, not only on this tour, but even before, even on the tour of England. It showed as if, you know, the interest is lacking, the energy was not there, the enthusiasm was not there, you know, and he, you know, a lot of times, he used to allow the game to just go on, drag on.
Okay.
And, you know, nothing like the energy would be there. There were no sort of I am not getting the right word there.
Enthusiasm for the
enthusiasm
Nikhil.
were there, and
Yes.
also he was not there was no plan, things were just drifting, see, and since India was not doing well, I thought it was better that he goes, and in fact
Okay.
he shouldn't have gone as captain to the Tour of Australia.
Okay, and then when he saw that Virat was doing so well, perhaps he decided this was the best time to go. And as Boria was saying, Nikhil, his heart was in the shorter format of the game. He'd said so himself, whether it's ODI or T20. So perhaps as wicketkeeper, could he have continued, and should he have continued as a wicketkeeper batsman?
Well, on hindsight, maybe he could have, but in overseas conditions, his form has not been the greatest as well, Gaurav. So if he's, looking to pass on the mantle as Test captain, I guess it's only fair that he feels that if his heart is wearing the blues for Team India and his best comes out, so why not? That's the decision he's taken.
Okay.
And why in the middle of the series? Don't forget, in the last year and a half or 2 years, this is the first time I personally feel that there was somebody who was ready to take on captaincy.
Yes.
How the teams reacted to Virat Kohli in that very first Test match, how the dressing room reacted, very close to the brink of victory and creating history. And you come and see the second and the third Test match. So while he's already lost the Test series, he felt that there's no point him being captain in the last Test match. If there's any sort of experience that could have been given to Virat in another Test match, if this decision had to come post the World Cup, it might as well come prior to the last Test match, so that at least Virat
gets more experience.
Absolutely.
But what does it speak of the man, Kunal? Even at the post-match press conference, not a word, not a whisper. He doesn't make this announcement. The announcement is made by the board. What does it speak of the man, the leader?
Gaurav, I think I'm actually personally very surprised in the manner in which this story than what we know of right now.
Okay.
And I think it's very important to understand that whenever we talk of Dhoni, there are several narratives working side by side that we get confused about. Dhoni is the man who's credited with the infusion of small town blood in Indian cricket.
Yes.
He is the person who leads that narrative. When we say that Indian cricket will now come from the small towns, we're actually talking about Dhoni and everybody else that he has inspired. There is Dhoni, the T20 captain. There is Dhoni, the one-day captain. And then there is Mahendra Singh Dhoni, the Test player and the Test captain.
Okay.
And there are a few facts that we have to face.
There's a very important point you've made.
In 90 Test matches, if a player scores 600s at 38, it is at an average of 38. It doesn't make him a Test batsman who's going to leave behind a great legacy.
I'll come to the legacy in a moment, but there's a very important point, Boria, that Kunal was making, that perhaps there could be something more to Dhoni's resignation as decision to quit as Test captain than meets the eye. And could that be the recent controversies, Boria?
Kunal is being a true journalist and I respect his views, but the fact is, today is not the time to ponder over this. Whether he was under pressure, whether he was under, some instruction from the BCCI, we will never know. But the fact of the matter is, his time was up. Every good thing has an expiry date. Mahendra Singh Dhoni's expiry date in Test match cricket overseas had come. And it's time to recognize that. Mahendra Singh Dhoni in blue gives others the blues. So why don't we want to watch him, as captain of India in the one-day format? I think Virat Kohli, Nikhil Chopra made a fantastic point. I've been saying that all day. Now we have an alternative.
Yes.
At the start of the series, there was no alternative. Mahendra Singh Dhoni was the one and only. Now Virat Kohli was breathing down his neck. He perhaps realized that at the end of the series, he would be booted out. Better to leave than be booted out. He took the call. I am not surprised when he took the call, because start of a new year, fresh legs, fresh ideas, fresh impetus. Even if Virat
who could
loses
have
the Sydney
booted
Test
out
match,
Dhoni?
how does it matter? It doesn't matter.
No, but Nikhil, could somebody have booted out Dhoni, or could Dhoni, perhaps as some of the other greats, could he have stayed on, perhaps achieve a personal milestone, the 100th 100 or the 434th scalp, and then quit? He perhaps would can this be
his chest, even when he got married, it was in a very private affair, somewhere far away. He doesn't let things out. And the whole question of how come he never said anything in that post-match press conference, I guess he, from his point of view and knowing a little of Mahendra Singh Dhoni personally, he said, well, I was made the Indian captain by the BCCI, so maybe this announcement's got to come through the BCCI office as well. But that's Mahendra Singh Dhoni for you. For him, personal milestones don't make so much of a difference. He took this call. Well, maybe Virat Kohli is ready, and personally that he himself would be thinking that, you know, he doesn't have a great record in overseas condition in test match cricket. If he's got to go, this is the best time.
Okay, and he did have a record today, Kunal. Chetan sir, let me come to you on that. He did have a record today. His 134th stumping, he's bettered Sangakkara, and in much lesser time, 460 is what Dhoni's done as against 485 for Sangakkara, 134 stumpings.
See, if we are talking about records, he is the most successful captain of India.
Yes.
He won the T20. It was a very young side. He was made the captain. Nobody gave him a chance. People would have, I agree with Nikhil and others, he would have been maybe, you know, discontinued as the captain or sacked as the captain.
Okay.
So why take that kind of, after having, you know, after tasting so
Being
much
the
of
most
success.
successful captain,
Yeah.
sure.
Why? Yeah.
Boria, at this stage, when you look at Dhoni's career, if I were to ask you about Captain Mahendra Singh Dhoni, I mean, look at what Suresh Raina tweeted: valiant while you led, valiant in your departure. What does that speak of Dhoni as a team player?
Again, I want to make a distinction, and a very conscious one, between Dhoni, the T20 captain, one-day captain and test captain. You know, 0-4 in 2011, 0-4 in England, Australia 1-3 in England, abject surrenders now in Australia 0-2, anything but valiant. India has gone from bad to worse under Mahendra Singh Dhoni as a test team overseas. In one day and T20, it's a different story. He's a champion, he's the best batsman, wicketkeeper India has produced, and perhaps the best in the world. That's why he's retained to play in those formats. He's decided to play in those formats. I slightly disagree with Mr. Chauhan when he says he could not have continued under others. Why not? You know, Sachin Tendulkar could, Saurav Ganguly could, Ricky Ponting could, Mahendra Singh Dhoni also could.
Yes.
Where I agree with him is he was looking disinterested. I think test match cricket was over for him. There was not much left in the tank. He realized there was nothing more to contribute. So thank you very much. You know, I think this will prolong Mahendra Singh Dhoni's ODI career. I think we will see him re-energized come the World Cup of 2015, and that's the format he loves the most. Let him give him the best. Let him give the best for India in that format.
And that is what is required at this stage. In fact, even Saurav Ganguly made that point. He played 30 matches, Nikhil, when he wasn't the captain. He played under other captains and he did superbly well, as did Sachin Tendulkar, Nikhil.
Gaurav, the most important thing is, you know, cricket is a team sport. You first, as a kid, don, you know, the whites, any cricket academy, to have a dream to play for India for one match, you know. And in the process, Mahendra Singh Dhoni has done exceedingly well. He was made the captain. So, you know, I don't think he would have had any sort of issue in terms of playing under anybody. At the end of the day, you're playing, you're representing your country and you're trying to do well and trying to win matches. It's a different case and scenario, but maybe, you know, he's got a little jaded. Don't forget, in the era, you know, 10 years earlier that we speak of as of today, the number of matches, playing days has increased enormous. You look at the IPL, you look at the one days, you look at the T20, and Mahendra Singh Dhoni has been captain in all formats, travelling everywhere. So he's got jaded. So he probably, you know, made a conscious decision at this moment in time in my career. If I want to prolong the one format that I love, or the two formats that I love, I need to let go of one, and which is probably Test cricket. And I completely agree with Boria when he says, you know, this is going to prolong his one-day career in T20, and I hope so, because we all love watching him do that and win games for India.
Which is what is desperately required before the World Cup 2015. But I want to, for a moment, come to you on this, Kunal. BCCI Secretary Sanjay Patel, and I want to quote him as saying that this is completely Dhoni's decision. Board wasn't on board. BCCI sources telling us that there was no pressure on Dhoni to quit. But is this just your reporter's instinct, or are there sources who are saying that behind the scenes, given the recent controversies, there was pressure to ease him out at least of one format of the game? And should that be then why restricted to one format of the game?
See, Gaurav, I'm not saying that there was pressure to ease him out. But it was very clear that there was a lot of pressure on him. And that pressure was, let's face it, from multiple facets. Yeah, there was pressure going on from a probe into match fixing that's going on right now. There's pressure going on because of his very close links with N. Srinivasan. Everybody has talked about it. He's a vice president of India Cements. There is pressure because the team that was involved in the scandal was his own. There is pressure because the man who's involved was supposedly the owner of the team But now later he says that he was just a cricket enthusiast. And apparently Dhoni has gone and given depositions to the committee saying that, that's been reported at least, that yes, he was a cricket enthusiast, which the committee has refuted. So, there were multiple factors playing a part on the psyche of Mahendra Singh Dhoni. Coupled with that, is a player who has never enjoyed Test cricket, who, we have known for the last 4 or 5 years has just allowed matches to drift. People have called him the master of drift. Because he just stands behind the wickets. It's too much pressure for a man to take. And he probably decided that this is the time for me to get at least one facet which I'm not even enjoying out of the way. But I do not. What I'm trying to say is that the multiple pressures that were working on him are not just cricketing, and that is something that perhaps will come out in the next few days.
What would go against this contention, perhaps what Kunal's putting out, is the fact that should that be the case, why just ease him out, or why would he just ease himself out? If I were to only talk about the recent controversies, why just ease him out of Test cricket? What about the other formats?
He's a champion player, Gaurav. Come the one days and T20, I don't think we can question or even try and raise a finger on the kind of matches that he's won and the kind of player that
Dhoni have a legacy when it comes to Test cricket, apart from being perhaps the most successful Test cricket captain.
Well, see, even in Test, maybe he's not scored many runs outside India, but nevertheless he's done well as a batsman. If you're averaging 38, it's very good average for a number 6 batsman or number 7 batsman. 2, he is a wicket keeper. I would say he is an all-rounder, so he is definitely leaving a legacy behind. 2, I would say, is that since after 2011, the performance of the Indian team went down, and that could be the main reason would be some of our seniors, some of these stars who were getting runs plenty before 2011, they started fading out, whether it was VVS Lakshman, whether it was Sachin Tendulkar or Rahul Dravid. The number of runs which they used to score before, they started coming down, and ultimately, since these were the people who used to contribute, whose contribution major in the side, their contribution reduced, so the team also started faring badly. And I think here on the tour of Australia, he did not want to leave or quit with this 2-0 and maybe 3-0, and I think he decided to quit. But definitely he is leaving a legacy behind for sure.
Okay, look at his records. Most successful captain in Test cricket, first wicket keeper to lead India in Test, only the second captain to win Test both in India and overseas, 294 Test dismissals, yet a mixed bag when you talk about the setbacks overseas, Nikhil.
Well, it's unfortunate, Gaurav. In the last, say, 3 years, post that 2011, we all speak about the number of Test matches that he's lost. You look at even the bowling. We've hardly been able to bowl the opposition out or look to pick up 20 wickets. Sometimes you're as good a captain as your side. I can understand where Kunal and Boria both coming from. That he's allowed the game to drift. But unfortunately, we've never had that arsenal to pick up those 20-odd wickets as well. Because don't forget, Test match cricket, it's all about even the bowlers using your head. You don't expect the captain to go out there and, spoon feed you every single time. When the captain sets
like
a field.
in that last ball of the T20.
Exactly, so you don't expect him to go out there and spoon feed. But sometimes, yes, when you succeed as a captain, you get all the accolades. And when you don't do well, you get the blame for it. So, when you look at Team India's record, and if you draw comparisons with some of the Australians like we all do, Team India post 2011 has played about 20 odd Test matches in overseas conditions. We've only won 2. Australia in Asia, out of the 9 Test matches that they've played, interesting stat, they've only won 1 Test match.
But this was an Australian team, Boria, that was looking weak. This was a team where perhaps Dhoni, when he must have gone in, he must have thought that whenever I take over from Virat, not well initially, but when I take over, we will win this Test series. That clearly did not happen. But what legacy, as a cricket historian, what Test legacy does Dhoni leave behind, if at all?
This is the moment.
He absolutely does leave behind a legacy. It will be a mixed legacy. I mean, you are talking about numbers. Numbers don't always tell the full story. Yes, 27 victories, but